Sometimes, have you ever noticed that overthinking makes everything more difficult? It's not because you lack talent or skill, but because your mind becomes cluttered with too many thoughts. This is the story of a man who learned this lesson in the hardest way. The man's name was Ethan Hawke, a master of the art of unlocking. With his extraordinary talent, he could open any lock, no matter how old, rusty, or complex. Locks that had been forgotten for years, keys that had long been lost, none of them could pose a challenge for him. People around him admired his skill, invited him to exhibitions, challenged him with antique locks, and cheered every time he successfully opened a lock. His fame grew, and he became a familiar face on television programs, sharing stories about his special talent. With every lock he opened, Ethan's confidence grew. He began to believe there was no lock he couldn't open, but this overconfidence began to nurture arrogance in his heart. One day, a wealthy man named Victor Ashford approached Ethan with an invitation to participate in a special contest. "There is a big competition in the city," he said. "If you win, you'll receive a prize of $10,000. Ethan didn't hesitate to accept the invitation, as he believed this contest would be a chance to further solidify his reputation. He thought, "It'll only take a few minutes to conquer this challenge." On the day of the competition, the atmosphere in the city was electric. A large swimming pool was set up as the stage, with a sturdy metal box placed in the center of the pool, completely sealed. The crowd gathered around the pool, each of them preparing their phones to capture this special moment. When Ethan entered, the crowd erupted in applause. He waved to the audience with confidence. The organizer came forward and explained the challenge. "You will sit in this box, and we will submerge it in the pool. Your task is to unlock the box and swim out before you run out of air. If you encounter any difficulty, just press the emergency button, and we will rescue you immediately." Ethan laughed and confidently said, "Is that all? I've done this underwater before. This will be over in an instant." The crowd cheered again as he entered this box. Inside, it was cold and dark, but Ethan didn't feel scared. He knew this was his world, the place where he always had control. He gave a thumbs up, and the box was lowered into the water. The box slowly sank to the bottom of the pool. Silence enveloped the space, and all eyes were fixed on Ethan in SWAT. He took a deep breath and began his work. But this time, something was different. No matter what techniques he tried, the lock wouldn't budge. He used all the tools and the methods he knew, but the lock remained motionless. Sweat began to beat on his forehead, and the cold water didn't ease the growing anxiety in him. Time passed, and Ethan began to feel the pressure mounting. His breathing became more difficult. "Why won't it open? I've unlocked thousands of locks before," he wondered. The questions kept growing louder in his mind, and the feeling of fear began to overwhelm him. "What if I fail? People will laugh at me," he thought. The more he thought, the more he felt out of control. His chest tightened, and his breath became heavier. "Why can't I do it? I've succeeded with so many challenges before." He tried again, but his hands had become clumsy. Overthinking had paralyzed his ability to act with precision. At that moment, an unexpected thought flooded his mind. "If I don't stop overthinking, I'm going to lose my life over a lock." With trembling hands, he pressed the emergency button. The rescue team quickly pulled the box up from the water. When the lid opened, Ethan breathed a deep sigh, his face pale with embarrassment. He could hear whispers from the crowd, but he didn't dare to look into their eyes. "They must think I'm a fraud," he thought. But as he adjusted himself and sat up, the door of the box suddenly opened. Ethan stared at it, not with shame, but with surprise. The lock wasn't real. It was just a trick. Victor Ashford approached, smiling gently. "It's not the lock, Ethan," he said softly. "It's your mind. You let overthinking stop you from succeeding." Ethan said nothing. He looked at the crowd, not with shame, but with gratitude. "Today, I've learned the most valuable lesson of my life," he said, his voice choking with emotion. Overthinking can turn the simplest tasks into impossible ones. Sometimes we need to trust ourselves and act without fear. Moral of the story? The biggest battle is not against external challenges, but against ourselves. Don't let overthinking stop you from seizing opportunities in life. Simplify your thoughts so that you can act more easily and effectively.